I'm Travis Bader, and this is the Silvercore Podcast. Silvercore has been providing its members with the skills and knowledge necessary to be confident and proficient in the outdoors for over 20 years, and we make it easier for people to deepen their connection to the natural world. If you enjoy the positive and educational content we provide, please let others know by sharing, commenting, and following so that you can join in on everything that Silvercore stands for. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a member of the Silvercore Club and community, visit our website at silvercore.ca.
All right, you might remember him from such podcasts as the Silvercore Podcast Episode 6 and Episode 13, welcoming back my friend, Mark Horsley. Mark, it's really good to have you back here in the studio.
Thank you very much for the invitation. The only thing I have to say is I've got only about 5 minutes so I can hold my gut in since you've got this on camera now. Last time we did this, it was audio only.
That's right.
So, 5 minutes and counting.
Yeah, you emailed and you said, okay, I got to brush my tooth. So as long as you don't talk for more than 5 minutes.
I'll be good.
Okay, good. We'll switch back and forth. So in the past, we talked about a bunch of things. You talked about the training that you've done, and you did training with large municipal police force for a number of years, helped set up their range program, the international shooting you've done, training you've done with the FBI. One of the things that we didn't really get into, which I found really interesting, was the undercover work. And for about 30 of the 35 years of your work, you were working undercover. And that always kind of stuck in the back of my head, like, how does this guy who's clean cut, who's straight-laced, who's you come across as extremely direct, how do you get selected for undercover work? How does that work?
Well, I'd love to talk about it, but if I do, I have to kill you. So, okay. There's some interesting stories here for sure. There's two kind of technical parts. There's covert work, which is where you're just hiding the fact that you're a police officer. And then there's undercover work where you're representing yourself to be anything but a police officer. So I'm going to kind of cross between the two of them because probably most of your listeners could care less about the difference. So, so I joined the police department in 1985. I was interested in undercover work. Did my basic training in the academy, went out and was in the process of learning patrol work, entry level, starting from the bottom, working my way up. And I expressed an interest to the undercover program and got laughed out of their office. They said, you're too big, you're too tall, your teeth are too straight, you don't fit the mold. And this was my first introduction to stereotyping and prejudging from the police side.
Okay.
So it's a big part of life that I've always detested. I detested it in high school when there was the music group, the theater group, the jock group, and I didn't like that. I like to move between different social circles here. And we're all impacted by this, and a lot of understanding of this comes from the undercover experience. So what I wanted to establish with the selectors was how about you evaluate results and not your prejudging and what you conceive a criminal to be like. Because I can guarantee you, if the police officer doing the selecting for the undercover program thinks that every crook is a penciled neck, hinge tooth geek, the criminal probably doesn't see themselves that way.
Right.
So, we kind of work through that. And I'm going to give you an example right here, right now. There's a uniform to do a Silvercore podcast. Okay, so I did my research. I always do my research. I would normally be wearing a Hawaiian shirt. But if one of your listeners was to sweep by without putting the audio on, they'd think it was some kind of a ukulele podcast or something, and they might not be that interested. Or if I wore a business suit, they'd think it was a financial podcast, or So I looked it up, and I wore the Travis Bader Silvercore uniform, the ball cap, which is the universal compensation for hair loss.
You got it,
right?
You got it.
And a T-shirt, or the hoodie or whatever. So, so we're understanding those kind of prejudging, and we're tapering it to that. So I asked for an opportunity.
So you established a baseline. You took a look as an outsider perspective, looking at what it is that you're entering into. You establish a baseline as to what kind of the look and feel would be. Ball caps, yes, they do stop the reflection of the light up top, which we have here, which looks pretty funny.
Especially the reflection of the light off the top of my head,
That's
which
right.
has very little hair left. Yeah.
And then, so you research first, and then you come in and you try and match that one.
Well, here within limits.
Okay.
And this will apply to our discussion about undercover work a little bit, without trying too hard. Okay, so the 70-year-old man who is a Harley Davidson enthusiast and has giant Harley Davidson earrings, he's trying too hard. The 70-year-old man who uses 50 F-bombs a minute to try and show how in tune he is with the younger generation. The younger generation is actually disappointed by that, because they're going, hey, that guy should be a role model. You know? And so without trying too hard. But going back to the entry, so when we talk about undercover work, this is in and out of undercover work and covert assignments over a 30-year period. Not always full-time, but sometimes full-time. And sometimes bigger, more complex investigations. Anyway, I asked for an opportunity, and I got an opportunity, and I performed really well. And things went well. So here I was there, expanding their view of what an undercover operator could look like. And one of the early successes I had was buying heroin in the Columbia Hotel in downtown Vancouver. And at that time, the heroin users were a very small-knit group of people who knew each other. I was assigned to go in and buy caps of heroin. It was packaged in gel caps at that time. And this was an entry-level point to an investigation where we would climb up in amounts and climb up in players within the group distributing the heroin. I walked in to the Columbia Hotel, and one of the important things is to feel comfortable in your environment. Well, you have to be extremely confident, have an extremely high self-esteem, and an extremely low ego, which is the negative side of self-esteem. That's what you have to be. So I have to walk into a place like that and feel comfortable. And I walked in the door. This guy waved to me. I walked over and, scored the gel caps of heroin, and boom, I was a rock star in the eyes of the undercover program. And it was strictly a case of mistaken identity. He thought I was someone else. Well,
fair enough.
Why not capitalize
Job
on that?
done.
Why not capitalize on that? So it went from there to a lot of different assignments in a lot of different investigative areas. Stolen property. It went, certainly drug work, lots of drug work, but also major assaults, homicides, different type of investigations. And during my career, I was assigned full-time to covert teams, drug unit twice, once in the 80s, once again in the early 2000s, and also gang crime, which was a 3.5-year covert assignment. Also, one of my most fun assignments were property assignments, one in which I was tasked with doing commercial break-and-enters for a 3-month period. And it was an interesting assignment where I learned a tremendous amount. I can go into that a little bit if you're interested.
So what do you mean you were tasked with doing commercial break-and-enters?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's kind of interesting.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
So,
and
like,
they paid me to do that.
so you got to try and find essentially, I think they call it like a red team analysis of a place. The movie Sneakers would probably be an example of that, if you remember that one with I think it was River Phoenix and Robert Redford and the Dan Aykroyd, I think, was in there. Anyways, they go and they break into banks and places, and they turn around and find all the weak spots that the bank has. That's
exactly what I did.
See, that's pretty cool.
But I didn't get a movie out of it. But other than that, so yeah, what it was is in a particular area, there was a real increase in commercial break and enters. There was a theory that they were lockpick break and enters.
Okay.
And my task was to reduce the break and enters by entering these premises and leaving a note on desk saying, we breached your security, got to here at such and such a time. Could you please call our crime prevention office and get some target hardening tips? So that's basically what it was. And it was what we found out. So the rules were that I couldn't break anything.
Okay.
So no broken glass, no broken locks, but I could, if I could defeat a lock, I could do it. And I'm not talking at the lockpick level, but if I could defeat a lock, I could do that. But it was to gain entry in any other way possible. And so a lot of it was unlocked doors. But then it was doing things like somebody's exiting and you look like you belong and they hold the door for you. I forgot my keys. Yeah. I got to leave a message on your boss's desk. Could you open the door for me? The janitors. But one of the really interesting things I learned from this is that when people look at things, they will see what they expect to see, but they won't see what they don't expect to see at times. So I was in a mall that was locked and secured, and there was a security guard there, and I just stood still. He looked directly at me and didn't see me. I sat on one of the chairs in the mall, and he didn't expect to see anybody sitting there. I didn't look like I didn't belong there, and he didn't even see me. So there was a lot of really it's
cool.
It's telling. We bought a house one time that had a major structural defect, and we brought in the engineer for the inspection. And when he pointed it out to me, I go, I can't believe I didn't see that. But it's one of the really interesting things about people. They will see what they expect to see, and if it's not within their realm of expectation, they won't see it. And we got to watch for that in ourselves, right?
So you exploit that as an undercover operator?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do they call it? Human hacking, or basically looking at the human variable tends to be the weakest point of any security system, because you can have the sharks with laser beams on their head and a moat, but if you're able to give the drawbridge guy a nod to lower that drawbridge, you're in.
Yeah. It was interesting. It went a little farther than that, and I ended up getting myself into a pile of trouble with this one. I'm a results guy, and I look at how can I achieve a result. Whether I'm trying to shoot a perfect target in marksmanship sports, in target sports, or in this case, I was trying to lower the commercial break and enters, and so. It seemed very logical to me to figure out who was doing them and then take away opportunity from them. And so I had kind of a liberal interpretation of breach of the peace, and I was removing them from the area where they were doing their commercial B&Es prior to the B&Es. I thought it was good. And Horsley, you're a rock star. Way to go, until they found out I was kind of violating their rights a little bit. So there's a section in that particular police department's procedure manual that's attributed to me as far as the use of breach of the peace and the interpretation of it. I thought really because there has to be a violent, sort of aspect to that use of that law. I thought, well, sooner or later, someone's going to get pissed off with these guys and punch them out. But that was maybe too big a stretch.
Yeah, the presupposition of violence.
Yeah. But I did get a 70% reduction in commercial B&Es. So what went from potential commendation went to discipline. So, but I learned. You learn from experiences, and I was young.
If you're not pushing your boundaries and making those mistakes, then you're really not learning. That's what I tell everyone I work with. I don't care if you make mistakes, right? We just hopefully don't make the same ones over and over again. If you're pushing yourself and it happens, that means you're trying.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that would be a lot of fun. That'd be like a giant puzzle box. Like, there's so many different ways that you can attack it. Okay, let's say banks getting broken into. We can take a look at alarm systems, locks, and cameras. We can take a look at the people on it, what they look like on the job. You can start befriending people outside of work. And then...
well, here's one of the things, because I know you're probably going to ask me a few things about fitting in with appearance and undercover. So in that job, actually being completely non-threatening, having a clean-cut appearance made quite a difference. So, how many times do people hold the door open for a pretty woman or a guy in a business suit or a guy that's just sort of dressed upper casual and he looks clean cut? And so, you got to fit what's the most effective appearance for the assignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, to some degree, I guess you'd have to be a little bit of a chameleon because you want to be able to match your body language, match your attire, match their speech patterns, cadence in ways where it's not super obvious. And so you're just mimicking me, right? But like you're saying before, you don't want to go overboard. Like what percentage of self do you retain when you're going undercover?
Yeah, I got to be really careful here because I respectfully, I've got to make sure that I'm not betraying my trade secrets.
Fair enough.
But I mean, it comes down to how comfortable do you feel and why would you not feel comfortable in a certain environment. That's where I talk about massive self-esteem and very little ego or excellent ego control, where that kind of comes into it. But when you look at it, the one thing I can say is, as a Canadian, where do I not have a right to be? Like, for example, if the investigation takes us into a gay club, regardless of my sexual preferences, I have the right to be in there. It's a public place. So why would I feel uncomfortable in there? So that's what a lot of it has to do with, because I got to comment on fictional works because they just drive me nuts and it's so disappointing. They so misrepresent covert work, undercover work, all police work, and maybe it doesn't matter to people watching it for entertainment, but it's brutal. Like I can't even watch it because when they're deep undercover, they walk in the bar and the first thing they do is look everywhere like this. When you walk into a bar, you look for what? A seat?
Yeah.
How it works? Do you go up to the counter for a beer or is there a server? Those are the things you do. So why would you do anything different if you're entering a bar? And then why would you feel uncomfortable about being in there? All right. So
is there any fictional work out there that you think kind of gets it close?
Lawrence Fishburne did one movie called Deep Cover. I thought that was pretty close. There was some artistic license, but it was pretty close. But a lot of them, like one of the worst ones and I can't even watch it. I've watched a few of them, is a TV show called FBI. I have great respect for that agency. I've trained with them. I took courses with them. I trained at Quantico, Virginia. And they're professional, they're highly disciplined, and it's just the lack of, like, it's just everything that they're not is portrayed in that show. So I struggle with it, right? And then there's this thing that I'm so opposed to is the best stories in policing don't all involve murder and violence. They don't. So it's the entertainment industry's obsession with murder and violence. Like, I just want to see a show that doesn't have murder and violence. And murder can be part of a story, but it doesn't have to be like it's gratuitous. And even books. Try and find a good book written recently that isn't about murder and violence and some weirdo perversion, because some of the best stories don't involve any of that.
I mean, they're just going off a template since the very first book was ever printed, right?
Yeah.
It's the humans seem to be negatively biased. They're looking for things that are going to be inflammatory or dangerous, and maybe that's the fastest way to hack a person's attention.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. But
I agree.
I've aired my pet peeve. I'm done.
Well, you say about ego, minimal ego or ego control. So having a healthy ego is important for, in some respects, having an out of control ego is completely problematic. I've never known you to have an ego. Do you practice ego control, or is it just something that you've been able to maintain throughout your life?
I took a course years and years ago, and the instructor said it to me the perfect way, that self-esteem is positive. You need to have great self-esteem to succeed in life, because a lot of life tries to crush you. And as parents, we try to build our children's self-esteem because a lot of the world's going to crush them. But ego, as he described it, was the negative side of self-esteem. So consider self-esteem what you want, and ego the negative side. So yes, it has to be controlled, and it's very, very common for undercover operators to get out of control egos, because they get built up by their teams, by their handlers, and it goes to their head, and pretty soon they can't fit their ball cap on, they can't get through the doorway. And it was really well described by one operator to me, where he got dressed down by his boss about this, and he said, I needed that. And because you have to have this confidence to go into very tenuous situations, but it can't be ego-based. Like, I can't believe that, there's a number of factors that will play into whether I'm going to be successful in the objective or not, right? And it can't just be ego-based. So I don't know if I'm explaining it properly, but anything that tries to stomp on another person, that's going to be ego. Anything that tries to bring the best out of yourself, that's going to be self-esteem.
Interesting. So, like that old adage, you can have the tallest tower in the city by building the tallest tower, or by tearing everyone else's down.
I think that's a good analogy. Yeah. And if you feel threatened by others who are good at what they do, that's an indication of leading to what you're talking about, because you'd rather destroy their success than build yourself better. Why not learn from them? Why not become better from them?
100%.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at different people, you're establishing a baseline. What are some of the things that you use to profile, let's say in day-to-day life, whether policing, if you can talk about it without giving away tradecraft, day-to-day life, how you'd apply what you've learned, and what do you do so that others are reading the profile that you want to have them read on you?
Right. Okay. So you try to I want to separate professional from personal. I mean, professionally, if you're working in an undercover or a covert capacity, you want to fit in without standing out. You want to be unmemorable and non-threatening. And then if you take that to the personal side, my wife says that I don't look friendly. And I have a kind of a reptilian forehead, and I'm losing my hair, and I shouldn't say I'm losing my hair. I lost my hair. Okay, and
Battle's over.
So she says you should have a friendly haircut. I go, well, how do I get I'm gonna have to comb over from mid back to get a friendly haircut. But I know that that's the appearance that I have, and I can see the reaction sometimes in people. So I work really hard to be outgoing and friendly and put people at ease. And so that's how I would apply it in your personal life, to be sort of aware of what you look like, how you come across. And I've got a really good friend. If he was an actor, they would cast him as an axe murderer because he's just like a frightening looking dude, right? And so he's the same thing. He has to work hard at that to put people at ease and be non-threatening. And then one of the challenges in different undercover roles is that sometimes you have to take on this different persona, and you have to satisfy sort of requirements of your appearance that you can't change on your days off. And looking like a French Canadian bank robber on your days off becomes real tired real quick. And so there were definitely a lot of challenges with that. And it's not like every undercover assignment involved that, but I certainly experienced that.
How do you look like a French Canadian bank robber? You get a little thin mustache and black and white striped shirt.
Well, it's what you think a French Canadian bank robber looks like.
Sure.
But so there were times in my career where I played long-term undercover operations with a certain appearance that really conflicted with family life. For sure, that was challenging.
You strike me as the type of person who has a high level of compartmentalization. You can compartmentalize different things into different areas without having it bleed over. Did you find that? Is that true? Am I correct in that assumption, or was there challenges in that bleed over?
So my wife and I married really young, and we've been married over 40 years. And we grew up together in a certain sense. She's a registered nurse, and pretty soon we had to come to an agreement on what was and what wasn't dinner table conversation, because nurses, they can gross out a policeman easily, and vice versa. So there was some over-enthusiasm early in my policing career and probably early in her nursing career. For sure. But then it became very balanced. So later on, we came down to, we had a rule, 5-minute rule. You're allowed to talk about work for 5 minutes. So you have to think about it a little bit. You have to be really concise, and you only have 5 minutes. And the theory behind that is it's my burden in providing for our family, and we were a dual career couple, and it's not her burden. And vice versa. So you can summarize in 5 minutes. And that's what we came to. So yeah, there was a huge separation between my work life and my family life. And where it was challenging was where my appearance was such that I couldn't change it on my days off. That was a little bit difficult, but there's a really, really important thing in training undercover operators, because initially we were self-trained. There was a federal agency course that some people took, but it was just basically trial by fire, figure it out on your own, get a little coaching and guidance. Now it's very formal. But people are tested by psychologists. But there's one really, really important thing that has always been in place. As soon as you start using undercover techniques in your personal life, you have to be removed from the undercover program. You can't do it.
And that's do you have a buddy system for people, or is that all self-reporting?
No, it's a supervisory system. So as soon as that's detected or reported and looked into, a person needs to be suspended until that's resolved, because the person is more important than the operation. And I have lots and lots of examples where people forgot who they were. In one case, an undercover operator met a woman while he was in a long-term undercover operation as a high-level drug trafficker with a fancy apartment, fancy cars, jewelry, money, all that kind of stuff. So she fell in love with a drug trafficker. She knew eventually that he wasn't and was a police officer, but you can imagine how disastrous that clash of values was when she found out that he was a police officer on a police officer's salary, right?
Sure.
And there was another case where an undercover operator used their undercover ID to access a hotel for an extramarital affair. And, those are – so eventually I became a supervisor of these programs and these people, and these were things that we would watch for. So in my own life, yes, is absolutely compartmentalizing the authorized legal technique of deception for police work, but never exercised in my personal life. So that absolutely, you're playing a role, and you have to be able to separate that. For example, I try not to use words that would embarrass my mom, God rest her soul, right? Like in my personal life, but I've been known to use bad words in other roles that I'm in, and I'm no saint, but I try,
Sure.
Yeah, right? So
is it like a switch you can flip in your head when you're going, or?
You're playing a part,
Yeah.
then you're not playing a part. And there's always a transition from work to home. There is, especially when you're involved in high adrenaline experiences, there is a period, post-adrenaline period, but there has to be that separation, to turn it on, turn it off. There absolutely has to be that.
I mean, you're not going in and doing undercover work at people when they're at the best points in their life, living their best life. You tend to go in and find people in some of the worst areas of society and worst times in their life. You'll see the worst in people, essentially, for 35 years. Is there, they talk about that thin blue line, right? And you're walking that line between being lawful and protecting others, and you're right there on that edge, having to interact with all those who are on the other side of that. Does that get difficult? I mean, I would think for an undercover operator, that thin blue line gets really, really thin.
I didn't find it so.
Okay.
I mean, there is a rule book, right, that we have to follow that they don't have to follow. And, I already discussed my first crossing the line, which was a good lesson.
Yeah.
But there is a rule book, but there's an awful lot you can do to catch the bad guy. And you do see the ugliest side of humanity actually on both sides of the line. And so it's 35 years of policing helped me really understand people. But to keep it in perspective, I had to remember that I was constantly looking at the worst view of them, and that wasn't representative of all people. I did a lot of motorcycle travel with my brother John. And one of the greatest things of that, because it was during a lot of period where I was working covert assignments and undercover work, was we would travel everywhere and meet all these wonderful people. And it was just a reminder that most people in the world are really good. But yes, we're using deception and not representing who we actually are as an investigative technique with an end goal. That's what it was. So no, I didn't find a big struggle with it. I didn't lose track of who I was ever. I played a role, and mind you, others did, but it was something that we really had to watch for. So no, you got to be really, really careful that you're using the techniques in the appropriate area. It's very much like I was a very skilled interviewer, interrogator. You don't use those skills on other police officers. You don't use them on your friends. And you sure as shit don't use, excuse my French, you surely don't use those on your wife. You knew it. You knew it was coming.
Oh,
right?
yes.
You knew it was coming. Yeah. So
No, that's a recipe for disaster. No, if you care about your wife and you want a long-term relationship, leave that at home or leave that at work.
Yeah. There's a time and a place, right?
Yeah.
So,
you can't be the only person who's results oriented. I mean, A-type personalities, a lot of them on the police force, and getting into undercover work. Is it a difficult thing to balance when you know someone is a criminal and they know you've done unlawful things? Is that ever, maybe not for you, but have you noticed that in others where that ambition gets ahead of people to see the end result?
that's the imbalance between self-esteem and ego.
I see.
Yes, sure, I've seen that, and it's it's something that's dangerous. I mean, you got to remember, policing is imperfect people serving imperfect people, but held to the highest standard of anyone in society, and as they should be. I mean, arguably. Politicians should be held to a much higher standard. Arguably, a prime minister, for example, should probably go through a background check that a police constable would go through, arguably. But I have no beef with us being held to that standard. But it is imperfect people serving imperfect people. So, sure, there's temptation, there's challenges for sure. But the amount of latitude you have in undercover work is really, really broad. Like you're representing yourself to be anything but a police officer, and so that allows for crimes to take place or to learn about them or gather evidence. And there is also exceptional and unintended things that come out, and you learn. Have you watched the video Operation Wheelchair? That was my 2015 undercover assignment in the downtown East Side, and it's the most attention I ever got for the biggest failure of an investigation, right? Because I was unsuccessful in getting assaulted or robbed in that investigation.
Why don't you tell the listeners about that one? I'll put a link to it as well if they want to watch it.
I'll just really, really quickly, we had a whole bunch of crimes against people who were handicapped in wheelchair. They were robberies and assaults, but there was no pattern. There was different times of day, different days of week, all this kind of thing. So I went undercover, and it sounds simpler than it was. First of all, I went to GF Strong, and I spoke to a peer counselor named Walt, who he was a full-time counselor for people who were newly paralyzed, and Walt's quadriplegic. And I had to understand what it was like from him to be a person in a wheelchair. I had to learn how to drive a power wheelchair, which was frightening. And then, how I would play this role. So I think I did a good job playing the role, but the unintended result here was no crimes, but all this kindness that I was shown by people in the downtown East Side. And it was phenomenal. So remember, by 2015, I was a 30-year cop. Yep. And you never think you've seen it all, but you think you've seen enough that nothing would surprise you. Well, I was surprised. And it was, watch the video. I don't want to get too into it, but the bottom line is that the people were very compassionate and they looked out for me. And there was a real community down there. When people drive through and they're horrified by what they see, I understand that. But what I think a lot of people don't understand is that we as a society have an obligation to protect those people that are down there, and they're not all bad. Circumstances in many cases took them there. There's an awful lot of, for example, people who are addicted to painkillers who came out of industry like construction, logging, and so forth. And I think we have to remember they're human beings, and they have wonderful traits. They're imperfect, but so are we, right? So I don't want to it's a 3-minute video.
Yeah.
Just spend the time.
Yeah. It's a good video. I enjoyed that one. And when you say a massive failure, it's probably like your most successful failure that you have out there.
Well, I thought about it, and I thought, gee, was I ever successful in getting robbed or mugged in my undercover? And I was. And I've got a couple where I was. But not that time. And I really, really wanted it. I really wanted it because, it was a certain amount of danger involved. That there was one point in the video where I was sure the guy was going to rob me. And no.
What's that got to feel like? All hunkered up, waiting to get robbed, maybe hurt, maybe stabbed, maybe.
Okay. So I'm in that circumstances for a number of hours over a number of weeks versus someone who lives that every day. I can do that. Yeah. And I don't think I telegraphed my anxiousness. I think I was ready to take the hits. I was ready to take the hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the things that you can talk about and things that you can't talk about without putting you into a bit of an awkward spot. When you're doing interview and interrogation, when you're talking with individuals, I remember years ago I did a few courses on interview and interrogation. The Reed course was one of them, did their basic and their advanced course with VPD. And, there's a lot of theme development, and there's it's very different than what people show in the TV shows where they're hitting them with a book and you did it, didn't you? It's a very, very different process. And a lot of it's trying to be compassionate to the person that you are interviewing and trying to maybe minimize some of the things that they've been doing so that you can elicit a proper a legal confession. Did you ever find yourself when doing undercover work or doing interviewing and interrogation where you're just with absolutely repulsive people that are absolutely repulsive people, but you have to sit there and play the game? And how, if so, how'd you deal with that?
Yes is the answer.
Yeah.
I think you want more than that. Yes. I've been with reprehensible, repulsive people and, not telegraphing how I felt was critical. Yes, it's a very challenging and difficult thing to do. One of the things that comes to mind, and it's not exactly where you wanted to go, I don't think, is the whole issue with false confession. And I ran into that quite a few times. And this is where that imbalance between self-esteem and ego happens again, because the investigator wants the confession. They get the confession and they go, yeah, I got the confession, but hang on a second. You've just put a person in a room who's never done anything noteworthy in their entire life. They have no attention because of achievement in their entire life. And then they're going to take credit for something that there's going to be consequences for, but for a brief period of time, they feel like they're a somebody. And you got to so watch for that. And that's where, that self-esteem has to dominate the ego and make sure that you recognize that and look at it very carefully. There's, with DNA evidence, we get people who have been imprisoned for things that they didn't do, but in many cases, their conviction was based on a confession. And so, now we have more tools. I say we, I'm a retired policeman, but we have more tools to verify stories. But yes, the ability to not show how you truly feel about someone is very important. Some of those skills are built from 40 years of marriage where you are really good at pretending you care about something that maybe you don't. But like which color? Do you like this color that looks exactly like that color?
Oh,
whichever one you love, dear.
You're real good at reading the person, right?
It's not in the course, but perhaps it should be. Yeah.
Is there anything that you had takeaways from that line of work that you think would be applicable to people in their everyday life? Like certainly I think from a public safety standpoint for an individual, establishing a baseline and not acting outside of that would be just a basic personal safety aspect.
I think there's an awful lot of people that go through life, nothing to do with policing, who are playing a part like that's not them. And they're being somebody that's not, they're betraying their core values. They're not listening to their moral compass, and it's like they're playing a part in a bad movie that they feel they're assigned. So I don't think that applies necessarily just to policing, but it applies to many other aspects of life. Like, and then the whole bit about. A lot of people feel that something didn't happen if nobody knows that it happened, right? But if you're answering to yourself and it happened, then it happened,
That's
right?
it.
So, but watch people. I mean, they betray themselves in their own life because they're not following who they really are. They're playing a bad part in a bad movie in their lives, right? So I don't think that's. I mean, it's human nature. It's part of understanding humanity, the imperfection in people. But I think it's really important to understand.
Did you take the time to create a checklist of your value system and everything, so you knew that or is it just squared away? You got it. You know where it's at.
No, I think I review that regularly, and then the same thing in a marriage, long-term partnership of like what's the most important thing, list of priorities, that kind of thing, and it always has to do with that. But it was always very. I mean, it's clear to me. The more complicated people make decisions, the less likely they are to follow a path, right? So the simpler and clearer it is, the easier it is. I mean, I don't know if you have time. You'll probably edit this out because it's a bit racy. But I taught a course down in a location in the United States, and there was a student on the course who was having difficulty with her gun. And I assisted her with that, colleague to colleague, got it fixed, and she was very appreciative and would come and sit with me. It was a week-long course. At lunchtime, I introduced her to other instructors, my friends, and, I'm just a kind of friendly, outgoing guy. Well, the Friday comes around, she shows up at my door, and she had a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. And I said, oh, yeah, come on in. We're just cleaning guns. I don't drink wine, but my buddy Dale will have a glass of your wine, right? She didn't know he was in there. And so she says, well, I'm going to back up just a little bit because I missed a really important part. You can tell this isn't rehearsed because I missed an important. The Thursday was a banquet.
Okay.
And she said to me, that there's limited parking at this banquet, so we should probably drive together. I said, hey, guys, there's limited parking at this banquet. I had a minivan rented, and I cleared everything out, put the seats up, all my equipment out of it, and 9 of us pack into this minivan. We get to the place for the banquet, and it looks like an empty Costco parking lot. But I didn't think anything of it, so then the next day she shows up with a glass of wine. Well, she says, we should go out to dinner. I said, oh, that's a good idea. Hey, I'll call some of my buddies and Dale. Hey, Dale, you want to go? So we go. And there's 12 of us out for dinner. And then I get back, and I've taught all week. I've been up for a run every morning. Try to maintain my fitness schedule. And I'm heading to bed. I am bagged. She knocks on the door.
Yeah.
And I forgot my wine glasses. Oh, well, come on in, grab them. And I'm hoping she'll grab them and leave. But I'm being polite. And I go, geez, I hope she doesn't, I don't want to draw attention to the fact that a couple of her buttons are undone, and embarrass her. So I'm politely averting my eyes, and then she leans over, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, her back must be sore. She's kind of leaning over, and then she gets on the bed, and I thought, I guess she's kind of stretching. Get out. No, I didn't clue in at all. Right?
Oh, come on.
I've been married forever. I didn't clue in at all. And then finally, it was like this light bulb went on, and I thought, oh my God! I knew she was married. She was from another agency and all this kind of. But the funniest part was when I suddenly realized, because I don't fix someone's gun because I want to get them into bed.
Right.
I'm not polite
and you don't
to a person.
see what you're not looking for.
Yeah, you don't see what you're not looking for. Anyway, my wife flew in to the next day, and the first thing I did is tell her this story, and she laughed and laughed. And she says, "You're so oblivious." I said, "Well, I'm not looking for it." Right? I know, but yeah. So I guess my point, in a long-winded way, is my life is very simple, because I have this code and I am who I am, and I don't spend there all that time with the devil on this shoulder and the angel on this shoulder, trying to talk me into things. Life is very straightforward. My priorities are straightforward, right?
I found that, and I do it myself. I'll sit down and I'll create goal lists, personally, for the family, for work, and then when things come up, I'll take a look. Where does it fall on this list? Is it on this side or this side? Is it a yes or is it no? And it makes my decisions really easy. And every once in a while, something might come up, like a business opportunity that sounds really good. And it's like, okay, do I have to reevaluate my list? And I can take a look. Nope, sorry, I'm going to turn it down because it's going to take my eyes off of what I'm trying to get at over here. But I will do a sort of an iterative approach to looking at where the direction, like for the business is, but the North Star never changes. It's always the same. So if it doesn't lead me to that North Star, the decision's simple. I just don't do it.
I think people do two things that, I'm supporting 100% what you're saying, but they do two things that they spend a whole bunch of time worrying about things that haven't happened. And that just clutters their whole mind. And then the flip side of that is they don't have a direction. And if you don't have a goal, how do you know that you're going to, how do you achieve getting there? It's like you don't have a map, but you're hoping to get somewhere.
Right.
And so it's very straightforward. And I'm not saying that life doesn't present difficult decisions, but most of them are not that difficult if you know who you are, and if you're in a relationship where your goals are written down and they're set, and one really important one is finances. If you look at it, is this consistent with my goals? Is this within my discretionary range or not? Right. So. Yeah, life is more simple than most people make it. And then most of the things that cause the biggest disruption are things that people regret later, like most often. And I take this from, like, in my policing career, 24 years as a supervisor manager, I learned a lot of things about people, and a lot of the time I felt like I was an anthropologist looking at a completely different species, because really smart people sometimes do really stupid things.
Yeah.
And they could have been avoided, and their life would have been a lot better without that. And it doesn't mean, being afraid to confront things that need to be confronted, to standing up to things you believe in. It has nothing to do with it. It just has to do with, making decisions that are consistent with your values, with your moral compass. That's why they call it a moral compass, right? That's why it's called that. It's pretty descriptive.
That's right. It's not like who was a politician talking about situational ethics. And he says, you just, depending on what the situation is, and then you can see what ethics that I'm going to have. No, you have your ethics and you apply it to the situation. It doesn't work that way. Come on.
Yeah.
So, 3.5 years, you're working a drug case. I was looking through some of the stuff here. I think you're probably in a biker role at that point.
Yes, there was a couple of assignments where I played long-term assignments where I played a biker. necessary for the investigation. Yeah.
So on shift, off shift, you're going to have to look like a biker, just like the French bank robber, right? Or the Quebecois bank robber.
Yeah, that was difficult at times for sure, and I certainly appreciated assignments that didn't require being that extreme, and I gotta say that during these time frames, that was more important than it is right now. Like, I like the fact that as a society, we're not as judgmental about a nose ring, multiple piercings, a beard. We don't have as there was a long period of time, especially difficult for women, where only a certain body type was considered to be fit and healthy. And now we have a much greater range. But a lot of this took place during time frames that were far more judgmental than they are now. So as a society, that's one area we've advanced in. But yes, that was a problem during a few times.
Did you ever get made?
Ever get made?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
Well, did you ever get called out? Like, were you, after an extended period of being undercover, did anybody ever say, wait a minute?
Oh,
I saw the outline of his badge in his wallet.
The challenge? Oh, yeah.
Obviously nothing that bad.
For sure.
But,
yeah. Well, the challenge.
Okay.
But here's the beautiful thing is the criminal element gets really jerked around by people who did the work that I did. And I have no remorse or no apology for it, because after being investigated using techniques that were authorized and approved and are legal and convicted and all kinds of things, or even just the threat of arrest and conviction, all of a sudden that 90-year-old lady using the walker going by their house, that's Horsley, that master of disguise, there he is, And then, so they'd see cops everywhere. But I got a good story about getting made.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is years and years ago. I was buying cocaine in a restaurant, and I had made 5 or 6 buys from the same people. And then I went back in, and they said, "Yeah, but we'll meet you in the rear lane." I said, "Okay, yeah, no problem." So we go out the rear lane, and they came out with baseball bats, 2 of them.
Whoops.
And this seemed odd to me because they didn't have gloves or balls, right? And it wasn't really baseball weather. It was raining, and down in Vancouver, and so I looked at this and I thought, okay, and this thought process I'm explaining takes place in a nanosecond.
Of course.
As a police officer, what do you do? If you're cornered by a couple guys with baseball bats, it's a use of force situation and commands and escalating, use of force, whatever. But as a bad guy, what do? You
run.
That's exactly what I did. So I ran away.
Yeah.
And which made sense. Let a couple hours pass. Went and changed my clothes. Went back into the restaurant and said, "What the F were you guys doing? I actually shit myself, and I had to change my pants. Like, why were you guys?" "Well, we thought you were a cop." And then they sold to me, and we built our case, and away we went. So yes, was I challenged in many circumstances? Yeah. Okay. Now, I did. Hope I'm not treading too close to the line here. I did. On one particular case, get searched, and I was armed, and now I beat the search, and I'm not going to get into how I did that.
Fair enough.
But I will say that people sometimes don't sense something they don't expect to find. And so, it has, certainly we're back to that high level of confidence. I heard it said that a college basketball player that everybody's talking about right now, and they say, "Oh, he's awful cocky." And I just said, he has to be, so, you do need that high level of confidence, right? So, But if you want to expand a little bit on the appearance thing, did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a time where I had an old car. The transmission went, young family, money was tight. We got the big mortgage. We got all that going on. I needed a car and I needed it now. And I went into the Toyota dealership in Port Moody and they would not talk to me. They would not. And I was there with my family.
Yeah.
Very respectable looking wife and all the rest of that. But I did have, an appearance that was, particular to a character that I was playing. And went to another Toyota dealership, walked in, bought a car, but they had 0.9% financing and I took their financing. So I had to, give my employment stuff, right? And I just said to the guy, I really appreciate that you didn't judge me. And he just looked at me and said, well, you never know. Right. And it was true. But there was another case where my wife and we were both shift workers. We had days off in the week. We went out to Fort Langley for lunch and it was snowy. And there was an elderly man helping his wife who was wheelchair bound into their car. And me being me, I went over and offered to help scare the bejesus out of them because, it was an intimidating appearance.
Sure.
And but I do also enjoy toying with people during that time. So we bought a house and we moved in and we couldn't tell my neighbors who I was or what I was doing. And so you've got this very pretty, respectable looking nurse coming and going. And it was in the day where they used to wear their nurse's uniform coming and going. And this dirtbag who was vague about what he did for a living and left, 3:00 in the afternoon, came home 3 or 4 in the morning. And I did kind of enjoy toying with them, and I'd have friends and brothers. You knew the neighbor was listening over the fence, and they'd talk about my prison time. And it was we were kind of toying with them a little bit. But I think one of my favorites was I was a volunteer youth coach, and I was doing an investigation that involved a biker persona. And so I rode the motorcycle up to the community policing station, made lots of noise. They knew I was coming. And I went in and they said, you got to fill this thing out for a criminal records check. Of course, I wasn't going to tell them who I was, what I did for a living. Fill this out, date of birth, name, all that kind of stuff. And the lady behind the counter, she says to me, do you have any criminal convictions? And I went, convictions? No. I was toying with her.
That's funny.
You got to have fun with life, right?
You do.
So yeah, I mean, there were funny parts. My wife got really tired of air travel where they'd look at me, search her. Right?
Of course.
She got really tired of that, but she saw the humor in it. I mean, yeah. And fortunately, there wasn't. There were a few long-term ones. And then my kids got to the age where I was very selective in my assignments. I didn't ever want to give them the impression that I was ashamed of what I did for a living. And unfortunately, your value as an undercover operator, especially as a man, because the criminal world is quite sexist, increases the older you are. And the challenge is, the older you get, the less you want to be intrusive to your personal life.
Right.
So, yeah, that was part of it.
Interesting. Well, you mentioned that, it's been, 3.5 years since you've retired, and you really haven't thought about the 35 years of policing until kind of, putting thoughts together for the podcast here. So many people will define themselves by their career. You seem to have had a fairly successful transition from a long service in policing over into civilian life. How did you find that transition, and what did you do to prepare for that?
Well, I think if you go all the way back to entering policing, for me, it was a consolation career. I wasn't one of these people that wanted to be a police officer from a young age. I pondered it a little bit in high school. But I went off and did other things. I joined the police department when I was 25, but I was already married, already owned a house. I was already going with my life. I already had a life outside of work, always maintained a life outside of work. And I would often see colleagues, and I mean, if you're really a person that tries to be honest with yourself, you see people who are deceiving themselves. You see examples of that. It's not to be smug. It's just to go, okay, I don't want to do that. But they'd say, you know, I'm a real family man. And they would use that as an excuse for a mediocre career as opposed to it really being true. But for me, it was. I had work weeks that were very demanding, but I was also a good enough planner to plan things. I've said to my kids, don't tell me you didn't have a good childhood because I've got the photos, right? You know, of all the things, the camping trips, the canoeing, all the outdoor stuff we did together. And then when it came to retiring, I think the best way to describe it is I loved going to work. I enjoyed my career, the ups and downs, the victories, the defeats. I enjoyed it, all the living, everything I learned. And as I approached the end of it, I kind of felt like I had been in high school for 10 years and it was just time to leave now. And so I felt good about leaving. I didn't, right to my last day, I never had trouble going. I never hated it. It was a very interesting thing as I kind of reviewed my career and purged documents and files as I got closer to retiring. It was probably a good example of the compartmentalization that I did is when I looked at files, I looked at really graphic, violent incidents that I hadn't thought of at all, in some cases 20 years. And I thought that was maybe a good sign. And so when I left, I left feeling like I was turning this over to others, and that I was entering a new phase of my life. And so, it's not that there's anything bad. It's just that, I'll give you an example. I did a tremendous amount of work. I had a side business where I did a lot of technical writing. And, I'm a pretty good writer, and I always had people saying, you need to write all your stories when you retire. I'm not finished making them.
Yes.
So I don't want to sit and live in the past. I want to make the stories. I don't, and so a lot of them are going to be lost. And I don't spend a tremendous amount of time focused on that. I'm more focused on the present and the future. So the last 3.5 years as a retired person have been fantastic. We staggered our retirements, my wife and I. She retired 2.5 years before I did, and that was, I think, a really good decision. She found all her own activities and her things to do, and that worked out really well. But the last 2 weeks since you invited me to the podcast have been sort of lots of memories. Nothing negative, just lots of things that I don't generally fill my mind with. So, yeah.
I was thinking about negative memories and negative thoughts, and a lot of people will go through events. You're talking about some horrific things that you're looking at that you're able to compartmentalize. Other people have a more difficult time with that, and that resiliency is different in everybody. People talk about PTSD. I was talking with Anthony Staziker. He goes by Staz, and he's ex-British Special Boat Service. He's got a company called Through Dark with his friend Louis, who's also Special Forces. And he was talking about PTSD. He's like, everyone talks about, the flashbacks. I get the flashbacks, but it's more like it's really exciting, and I wish I could do that again. Right? And I thought it was interesting looking at different mindsets and perspectives to stressful or traumatic events, and how an individual can frame it for themselves to where it's either going to be detrimental to them or something that was an exciting event for them. So I don't know if you...
Okay, you opened a can of worms here.
I'm sure I did.
And that's a good thing. I have very, very strong feelings about this because I've seen an industry exploit first responders, military, and there's been an exponential increase in PTSD cases. PTSD is real. There's no question about it. But our cases have gone way up, and my question is, how much of that is impacted by improper selection? Are we selecting the wrong people? What are we doing for resiliency training? Because there's no doubt that a person is far better off not having PTSD than being treated for PTSD. And then we've got what I view as a change in how we handle people post-traumatic incidents. And I think that what we should be measuring is what is the impact of that. Because remember, I come from, as a collegiate athlete running track, it was about doing what I needed to do to run a faster time at a given distance. As a precision pistol shooter, as a rifle shooter, it's all about what can I do to put every hole in the X-ring. And then you look at this, if you accept that it's better to have people not have PTSD than treat it for them, what can we do to prevent it? Then I went 1 for 5 in dealing with psychologists, good experiences to bad experiences. So I had one outstanding experience related to an employment-provided psychologist, and the other ones were horrific. And in one case, I referred to, because in an incident I suffered a brain injury, traumatic brain injury. Part of the healing of a brain that's been damaged and torn is that you get these very vivid dreams. And the psychologist, and I explained this, and I didn't want to go to a psychologist, but the doctor who was handling my case said that, to do everything you can to fully recover physically, emotionally, mentally, you should do this. So I went.
Sure.
And I'm explaining this, and she kept referring to it as nightmares. I said, wait a second, I never said nightmares. I'm talking about complex, involved dreams, which is all part of getting that brain working together again. So, I look at it and I don't have PTSD. I'm very thankful. But in my career, I faced the things that I expected I would have to face. And when I signed up, I knew that somebody might try to kill me. And yes, they did. The different people tried to kill me. And these different things happened. And we've got to go back to fictional works. I'll tell you, man, when it comes to use of force and people trying to hurt you or kill you, the trauma comes out of the fear of what could have been lost, not being a father there to my child, not being a husband there to my wife. It does not come at all from what somebody got that they deserved. And so I look at it and go, I knew what I signed up for. I got what I signed up for. PTSD to me would be something where somebody got something they were completely unprepared for. Like there was a case in Toronto, Metro Toronto area, where a fellow was in his front yard and a vehicle sped through his neighborhood, came up on his front lawn and killed two little kids. That's a PTSD case. Like how somebody gets cancer, that could be a PTSD case. My grandfather fought in World War I. He was shot and returned to battle. He was hit by a grenade, shrapnel, returned. He was a teenager. That's a different type. He saw what he saw in trench warfare in the First World War.
Sure.
I can't go into the afterlife and say to him, if I am honored to meet him, that something that I did in policing has caused this. So, having said everything I said, and I'm quite passionate about it, if I had PTSD, I would be addressing it, but I'd really rather just not.
I agree with that 100%. I think when you say that an industry has been made around PTSD,
It's despicable.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because
It's predatory and
Yes.
it's exploiting people.
Yeah.
And like I gotta sorry because I'm so passionate about
Yes.
this. When I went to see this psychologist, and his name is Mike Webster, the first thing he said to me is, "My goal is to make my services unnecessary as soon as possible."
Perfect.
Dude, you're my guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
I had one session with him. It lasted, hour and a half. That was it, and it was awesome. As opposed to other ones.
Once a week, every week, next rest of your life.
Well, I mean, there should be enough business without having to drum up business. So
Well, I'm of the mindset that a lot of times the treatment is the poison. And people who are suffering from an event and they might not be able to put their finger on why that was, and they go see a professional and the professional says, well, it could be PTSD, it could be this. And they say, oh, there it is. I am my PTSD. Got it. That's me. I'm Bob with the PTSD, whoever it is. When the reality is, it's like getting a cut or a broken bone. It's like, oh, you had an incident. Looks like you have a broken bone there. Okay, well, path forward is pretty simple here. We'll put it in a cast. We'll get you going forward, and we'll have you out of here in no time. In a month, we can check back and see where you're at, but you'll probably have full mobility and we're good to go. And I think if people start taking that approach to their emotional and mental injuries in the same way that they'd approach a physical injury, I think it would normalize it for people who are afraid of talking about it. And all of a sudden, it's not this big monster out there. It's like, oh yeah, no, I had this thing. I'll deal with it, and on we go. That's my 2 bits. I might have some people out there who hate that view, but that.
Well, I mean, ultimately, it should be the goal. So
Right.
I mentioned this traumatic brain injury I suffered. I dealt with a phenomenal doctor, Dr. Rebai. He was just fantastic, and he said you have to move forward, feeling like you had a brain injury. Not you have a brain injury. There's a key distinction. He said, "Did you ever pull your hamstring when you were running track?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Then in grade 8 you had a hamstring pull, but you don't have a hamstring pull." Now, that being said, if we focus on what we can do versus what we can't do, that's a better way. One of the really key things he said, you can return to work with this brain injury. You can do better than you ever did before, outperform anything you ever did at work before if you follow a few rules. And one of them was doing your job. Do your job. Don't do everyone else's job. And it was like there was some kind of guidelines to how to succeed. And I listened to what he said about that. And but you're absolutely right. You can have psychological troubles with something. Look at it in athletic performances where sometimes people will have trouble overcoming something, but then they do overcome it and they become a world champion or they exceed their previous performances. So absolutely, it's something that people can overcome. You can edit this out, but it's a real quick story. Andrea and I were, at a really busy stage of life, 2 professionals. I felt we'd become distant. We had kids. I was coaching. I had a side business. I was working a demanding profession. I'm an energetic person. I had a lot on the go, but I felt like we were just growing apart. And so there was marriage counseling available through our human resources at the police department, and I went and saw a psychologist. Initially, Andrea wouldn't go. And then she agreed to go, and, I'm working on this because I want to be successful in this partnership. I love her dearly. I want this to work out. And she joined me, and of course, this was all supposed to be confidential. And one of my former partners came to talk to me, and he says, how's things going with your marriage? I said, well, like, what's driving this? I hadn't said anything to anybody but Andrea.
Yeah.
So the confidentiality had been breached.
Yes.
Well, Andrea hit the roof, and when she found out, and she refused to go to any more. And of course, I felt betrayed. I didn't go to any more of these sessions. But we realized something. We didn't need the psychologist. We needed the date that accompanied every visit to the psychologist, where we'd usually, daycare arrangements, and we'd go out to lunch, and we spent time together. So what we realized is we didn't need the psychologist. We just needed to schedule dates where we'd spend time together, and we'd go for a walk or go for a meal or do something and have that chance. I mean, people who don't have shift work challenges, I don't think they understand how difficult it is to stay connected with a partner who's on shifts, and you're juggling daycare as well. Yeah. I don't think they understand it. And more importantly, I don't think they appreciate it and take best advantage of it.
Yes.
Because that little bit of time you have for each other every day to just, communicate is huge. But that was a lesson out of that. We didn't need the psychologist.
That's a good lesson. It reminds me, and I've said this one before, but Crocodile Dundee, where I think he was at a party in New York. This person's a psychologist or a psychiatrist. What's that? Oh, you don't have those in Walkabout Creek? You go in, you pay them a bunch of money, you talk about your troubles, and you see them every week. And he's like, you don't have that? He said, well, we got Bruce the bartender, right? You tell him your problems. He tells everybody else, no more problem. Right? Yeah. So sometimes that breach of confidentiality could be, as terrible as it is in the time, the impetus for something that just kind of sheds light on something, and it's, you know what? The solution's pretty obvious now.
Well, yeah, and we learned something from that, right? Mm. But as far as I think I took you off topic because you were talking about transitioning from being a police officer to being an old retired guy. With no purpose in life.
Who's shooting all over the world, who's got a beautiful elk in Montana, and I'd love to hear that story too. I've seen the pictures, but I'd love to hear the elk story as well.
Okay. So I have a friend, Gary Crane. He's retired from Portland Police Department. He called me up and said, would you like to do an elk hunt in Montana? I said, yeah. And a lot of the time people say, I'd like to do something someday.
Yes.
And this is one of the lessons learned from me is you someday is actually today. Mm. My wife would say, when I retire, I want to do this. I want to play the ukulele. I want to travel to here. And I go, no, book it now and buy it now. And because you don't have time. And what Gary says is I have to do it now because he says, I'm going to be 77 years old on this hunt. So we had to do it. Well, anyway, we went through the process, bought our hunting licenses in Montana, put in the draw, and we both drew bull tags. So now we're off on this trip, and it was very interesting because we've had all kinds of gun law changes, different things that have been done. And so the process before was I needed an ATF-6 to cross the border with 2 hunting rifles, both 30-06s. I got that in 24 hours. I submitted electronically. It's returned to me. Then the next thing I had to find out was could I bring the meat pack? Mm. If I couldn't, it wasn't going to stop me from doing the trip. There's actually ways you can donate it to food banks, or I could have given it to Gary and his family. But I went from government agency to government agency, spent hours and hours and hours, and then I finally found, and I can't even remember the names of all these agencies. I finally found somebody that said I could bring it back and directed me to the rule book that said I could.
It just had to be boned? Was that the rules?
No, you can actually bring the carcass back. Oh. But what I did is I had it cut, wrapped, and frozen before I came back. But then there was the process of trying to get permits from Canada. And so previously, your ATT would allow you to take your rifles to the border. You needed nothing. So
your PAL.
Yes, I'm sorry. Just
yeah.
your PAL.
Yeah, because ATD would be for your handguns.
Yeah,
or
I'm
your
sorry.
restricted. Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting my categories mixed up. But
Yeah.
you're right. It was just your PAL. Got a guy from the Canadian Firearms Center, talked to him, and he says, that's all you need to get to the border. I said, would you send me an email? And he did. That was awesome. And I'm compiling all of this in a tabbed binder, right?
Of course you are.
As I'm doing this. Now I'm dealing with global affairs. And we had a little bit of history trying to get my permits to go to Sweden last year for the World Precision Pistol Championships, which ultimately I got. And they kept referring me to this section about exporting military armament and ordnance. I'm going, well, these aren't even NATO calibers, right? Like I'm a 30-06 shooter, and we went around and around in circles. Anyway, eventually a friend who's a lawyer got involved and educated them, and there was a bit of face saving involved, and they made me get a general export permit.
Okay.
Which the lawyer said was absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I'm going to, I just call people up and say, what do I need to do this? And I will jump through whatever hoops you got. Anyway, lots and lots of hours, which I'm very resentful of. If that happened during work time,
Totally.
I could accept that. But this is my time. I'm retired, right?
These are your most precious
This
commodity.
could be
is
nap time or time for me to wear a cardigan or get new slippers
That's
or whatever.
right.
You know?
Your Hawaiian shirt. Come on.
Yeah. So anyway, I had all my stuff in order. I arrived at the border going south, so I was driving, pick up my buddy in Washington State, and then we were driving to Montana. And great reception because I was well organized. They checked the serial numbers. Through I go, no delays at all. Got down to Montana. Wow.
Yeah.
What a place. I've been through Montana on camping trips with my family, on motorcycle trips. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And they have the most wonderful attitude about hunters. Hunters are, multi-billion-dollar industry bringing tourists and money, and they're so wonderful to deal with. I had a little trouble getting my everything online. I got on the phone with this nice lady, and it's like they actually wanted me to come and were encouraged.
That's refreshing, eh?
Oh, it was awesome. Anyway, we got down there. Totally different type of hunting.
Okay.
Because we stayed in a motel.
Okay.
And we had an outfitter, and we had a guide. And we had one guide for two hunters, and but they said, okay, when you come out to the truck every morning, you have a chambered round and the rifle safety on. So, you're in a different country, different rules. Nothing unsafe about it.
Sure.
But you're walking out of the hotel lobby with your rifle slung over your shoulder, your backpack, your food, and all that stuff. And you walk right by police officers, and they don't even blink an eye. And it's Montana, right?
How cool.
So beautiful. Anyway, day one, we get out and only see one elk, and it's at about 1,200 meters.
Okay.
But the mule deer, the bighorns, and the scenery, and it was spectacular. So the outfitter, I had said I'd really like to try and get my bull early. I said any legal bull. I'm not after a trophy bull. I'd never shot an elk before, so I was after any legal bull. My buddy was after more of a trophy bull.
Okay.
And so he says, well, we got to go where they are. This was October. He said there's no real snowpack yet. In the high country, we had about 12 to 18 inches of snow.
Okay.
So we get up at 5 a.m. on day 2. We drive way up this mountain, and we started our hunt at 7,000 feet.
Okay.
We had a young guide who was 20 years old and inexperienced and not very familiar with his navigation equipment. So right away, we got lost. And I'll backtrack again because I forgot an important part of the story. I have always hunted with a varmint gun. I shoot Tikka varmint.
Yeah.
I have what I believe and what I've been told is the only Tikka varmint 30-06 in North America because I got it out of Finland.
Huh.
So it's a 14-pound rifle.
Yeah.
And I've always said if you're worried about a few ounces on your rifle, maybe take the 30 pounds that are around your waist off first, right?
Yep.
And I've always ridiculed guys and poked fun and all in good fun. Day one of that hunt, I'm going, I can't carry this rifle.
You want to light a rifle.
I became an old man. and it's like I instantly aged. Anyway, So my backup rifle, Tikka T3 Light, with a 3x9 Bushnell. It's really what my version of a scout rifle, right? That's really what it is. So that's what I carried day 2 because I was dying day 1. Anyway, we're climbing. He gets lost, and we spend a lot of time trying to find the trailhead. And then we're a whole day of climbing. And we didn't stop for more than 5 minutes at any time. We got a foot and a half of snow. I didn't count how many times I fell because I want to be positive and talk about how many times I got up.
Fair enough.
In the 2 days, it was 30.
Wow.
So it was slippery. It was minus 17.
Wow.
It was cold. Probably underestimated the water that I needed. Definitely underestimated the food that I needed to carry. And my buddy, what a tough guy. He knew 77 years old, but he knew that he couldn't do the entire hunt. So he, partway through, we agreed to meet at a certain point in the afternoon. Anyway, I climbed with this 20-year-old. We didn't see anything, nothing. And comes to 4:00 in the afternoon, and I am bagged. Like, I am so bagged. But we got a long trek to get back to where we're going to meet the outfitter. Outfitter dropped us at one spot, picking us up at another spot. So I'm eating my final Cliff Bar. I'm drinking like the last of my water.
Yeah.
And he says, I got bulls. Okay.
Nice.
And there's a snow-covered rock that I proned on, and this unbelievable tangle of forest, and then a rise. And he says they're over there in the tree line. And I get a look at one that's head on, but it's got to have a certain amount of brow tine, so I need confirmation that it's a legal bull. My opportunity misses on that one. I get a second bull who's only got a head sticking out from the tree. Now, from my view, it looks like the tree is right here, but the tree could be 100 meters in front of him.
Right.
So the guide gets on that one, says, yep, he's a legal bull, but it's only the head. I said, can you range it? He gives me a range, but I learned a long time ago.
Don't trust it.
Trust my range.
Yes.
Right? So I ranged it, and it was 472 yards.
Was it similar to what his range was?
His was closer. It would have been off.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been off. So what he did is bounced off a tree closer, and what you can do is bounce off a rock farther or a tree closer. So I want to do my own range. Anyway, bull comes, gives me a shoulder. Okay. And I'm saying I'm going to take him if I get a shot. We're talking back and forth, and I'm really solid. And I got to qualify this. This is my light rifle, but I have trained to 600 meters with it. I knew what it was. I'm watching, all of these things. You don't have a Kestrel. You don't, all this fancy stuff that guys do. This is experience and sense and reading the wind. Of course, you only have the wind where you are, not the wind 3/4 the way to target. All these other challenges. Bull steps forward a little farther. And I press the trigger, and the bull disappears. And the guide says, I think you missed. And I said, I did not miss. I mean, a bull's a big target. If you're used to shooting 4 inches at 800 meters, a bull's a big target.
Yeah.
And so I said, there's no way I missed. And Gary said, he's just not used to a shooter like you, right? And the kid was fantastic. His name's Jason. He had some horror stories about, some of the ill-preparedness of people getting there. Well, we got to ethically go. Whether I missed or I didn't miss, you got to go check it. Well, this was, as tired as I was, the worst CrossFit exercise workout you've ever seen. Underlogs, overlogs, slip and fall, get up, and down we go. It took 45 minutes to cover this 472 yards to where the bull was shot. Get there, there's blood. And go up over the next rise, and there he is bedded. And this is my respect for this prehistoric beast. They're amazing. He got up out of his bed. Now, later, when we field dressed, he was lung shot. He was fatally wounded. It was a perfect hit. It was just an absolute perfect through the rib cage lung shot. He got up and he started climbing the next ridge. And Jason says, take him. I said, range? He said, 150. I knew it was 0, but, you're questioning yourself. Second shot hits him. I rack the bolt. Jason says, wait, I don't see anything. He's still climbing. And then he starts to waver. He starts to, and down he goes and slides down and gets stopped on a tree. This is tough country. Well, so when we field dressed him, second shot was a heart shot.
Okay.
And so they're both fatal.
Good shots.
They were both good shots. And so Jason said, is it okay if I film you approaching the animal? I said, yeah. He says, you don't seem, we shook hands. We did the high five. And he says, you don't seem overly excited. I said, well, A, I'm really tired. And B, you can't shoot like that if you're all excited.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway,
this is a trained thing. This is...
So Gary had stayed behind from where we shot, but he heard the kill shot. And he came down, to his credit, crawling through all that stuff at 77 years of age. He got there after we'd field dressed. So normally they do a gutless dressing.
I was going to ask.
I don't know. I've never done it. But because it was late in the day, we had to field dress to cool it out and then do the recovery the next day.
Right.
So anyway, Gary got down and we were able to get a great picture of Gary and I, and one with the guide. And my brother, John, who's a big hunter, he says, how come Gary wasn't smiling? Man, we were just so tired. Well, anyway, we had a trip back to where I'd fired from, and I slipped, fell, twisted, and tore my ACL. And so I'm up there. It's 10 below and getting colder as we're losing light. It was really great. We got back to where we fired from. We're getting a range for the walk down. I had a spare set of gloves. Gary and Jason didn't. They both got frostbite.
Oh, really?
And as soon as the sun dropped, the wolves went off, and I was so hungry. I was thinking, "Oh, come in, because I'm gonna shoot you and eat you." I was like, Anyway, so what they call a trail in Montana, and I really felt like I was a city slicker, having only hunted everywhere in British Columbia, because there was no trails at all.
Really?
And Jason, if it hadn't have been for Gary's navigation equipment, I don't think we would have got back to the truck. 4.5 hours.
Oh, man.
After we got back to the shoot location to get to the guide in the truck. Now, in fairness, we were going really slow because I had an injury and we'd both fallen so many times. So,
yeah.
But the outfitter said that he sent guys hunting up the trail. Those wimps, they only came 300 meters because we didn't get any footprints until we were 300 meters from the truck. So we got back to the truck at 10:30 at night. And then we went back to the city. The only thing open for food was the Taco Bell. And
oh, come on.
And Gary says, I'm too tired to eat. I said, look, man, after that, you got to put some calories. So I went out and got some burritos. Oh my God, I'm doing a plug for Taco Bell here. The truth was, a turd wrapped in last week's underwear would have gone down good at that time. But no, we had, so we got a bag of tacos and ate those. And to Gary's credit, he got up and went hunting the next morning. What a tough guy.
And did the wolves get to the elk, or were you able to retrieve the meat?
So here's a great story. I'm bagged.
Yeah.
I feel old. First time in my life. I got this knee injury, and the deal with the outfitter is they do the recovery.
Oh, really?
So now I could have gone, I could have participated, and they'll do it on horseback, ATV, whatever they can do. But this is what they did. They hired the guide was a two-time state wrestling champion.
Okay.
And two of his buddies. Not one of these guys weighed more than $150. And they went up and brought this elk off that mountain.
Good for them.
Oh, man. Tough kids.
Good for them.
I have nothing but admiration for them. But, so I got the elk back. I got it in. I got it cut, wrapped, and frozen and for transport. It was fantastic.
Beauty.
So,
well,
yeah.
I'm glad I got that story because I was looking at those pictures and I was keen to hear this story, but wanted to save it for this.
I know you turned off the recorder a long time ago. I know you did because I get pretty pumped when we talk about hunting. I got back and I knew I needed to upgrade the scope on this light rifle, right? Because it was an old Bushnell 3x9. Now it worked, and I knew how it worked. It had holdover reticles and so forth. Yeah. But I shopped around, and Vortex had sponsored the Precision Pistol Championship for 3 years for our national championship. And so I contacted Vortex and said, hey, can you help me out with I'd like to upgrade this scope. And I sent them a picture, told them the story. And they sent me a scope and a bunch of swag, and it was really nice.
Awesome.
But the Ken, the marketing guy, forwarded this to one of the executive officers in Vortex Canada. And I got this lovely email from him saying, I've never seen such a big buck. and now I can relate to this because he's probably my age, and somebody probably showed it to him on their phone, so the picture's really small. And it's always been the standing joke whenever you see a giant buck that gets away, you say, I thought it was an elk when I first saw it. So, yeah, he believes it was a buck, and I'm not telling him any different.
Good. Keep mouth shut, done.
That was a hell of a buck.
That's right. I love it. Yeah. Well, is there anything else we should be chatting about before we wrap things up here?
Always. But
always.
Not today.
Okay. Mark, thank you so much for coming back on the Silvercore Podcast. I always enjoy chatting with you.
My pleasure. Very few people want to listen to old retired guys, so I appreciate it.